Welcome back, everybody, to a series I had planned over a year ago and then just never ended up releasing because there was never the right time to do it. But you know what? Right now, I'm in the mood to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks because I've been doing the same thing for 4 or 5 years, and let's be honest, it's kind of flopped. Yeah, I just want to try something new. So, as many of you know, I used to be an admin and official influencer coordinator on the Last Day on Earth official Discord server. As a result, I have some very unique interactions with every single creator, pretty much, who has put their hands on Last Day on Earth YouTube in the Discord area. With this series, I'm going to talk about every single one of them. There's some good stuff, there's some bad stuff, believe me, and I'm free to talk about all of it because I just want to, and I think that people always find it super interesting to hear how their favorite creators are like behind the scenes. I got this idea from Connor Pugs, who did a couple of series on Minecraft YouTubers, but I've had interactions with LUE YouTubers. These are my experiences with the biggest. Let's start out with Starsnipe. Sorry, Star, you're on the chopping block first. Well, I guess not necessarily chopping block, because it's not bad. As always, if you haven't already, consider subscribing, follow my Twitter, follow my TikTok, especially that one, and let's get into the video. Let's find out about Starsnipe. Let's start out very early on, back when Frostborn was in its very early infancy. Let's take it back to before it officially globally launched. I was in a group with Starsnipe and Cyric. I guess they technically called them families back then. A co-op, essentially. And we would face enemies, we would do all that stuff. I will be frankly honest, being in a clan with a bunch of YouTubers is possibly the greatest and worst thing that could ever possibly happen. On one hand, you can totally pop up in their streams, say hi and do all that fun stuff, but on the other hand, YouTubers don't necessarily, or at least the ones I've interacted with, don't necessarily play a lot. And I think with Frostborn back then, it was even more extreme. Star was not bad, but he certainly didn't play enough to survive. Like, I was doing multiple 2v1s, getting zeroed multiple times because he didn't play much. I remember his base got wiped, Cyric's base got wiped, and people kept coming over to my base, and I kept having to fend them off, usually losing, because let's be honest, I was really bad at Frostborn. I still am bad at Frostborn, but I was worse back then, and this was before spells, and classes, and all that. And then one day, Starset messaged me, and he's like, do you want to do Odin's? Or maybe it was I messaged him, I can't even remember at this point. But somehow, it was me and Star who ended up doing Odin's. On the way to doing Odin's, you might watch his video and be like, it's a little rough around the edges, I would say, especially from a creator side. And that was because neither one of us were on VC back then. I was trying to teach him how to do Odin's through the game chat, which was very rough because, as you know, there is some positioning you need to do. Back then, you could sneak an enemy, spawn your helper hologram thing, the zombie would kill it, and then you would run away, and it would de-aggro, but the damage would still be done. So kind of like the elevator trick with Last Day on Earth. And I had to coach Starsnipe what to do, to sneak attack them and then run away, while I summoned the spirit, because let's be honest, we did not have overpowered weapons, so we really couldn't just fight the zombies. You'll notice he's using a 5-shot crossbow even against these zombies, which, that pains me now, looking back, because 5-shot does splash, but neither one of us really knew that, so yeah, those runs are very rough around the edges. You can still go back and almost get a kick out of watching those. I still do. I wish we were on VC, though. It would be a little bit better. I think it's funny that Frostborn still puts Starsnipe videos in the teasers, even though it's been a solid year since he's uploaded. But regardless, I still found that super interesting. The next time we interacted was the Fall of Frostborn documentary. And I hesitate even calling it a documentary because it really wasn't. It was not what I expected. Was I satisfied with the ending results? Sure, I was. But was it what I hoped it would be? Not necessarily. But what I really found cool about that was I just messaged him, I remember this part, asking him if he would be open to quickly talking about some of the stuff that was going on behind Frostborn. We really thought that Frostborn was dead at that point. And, I mean, it hadn't globally launched. It was slowing down on updates, and people were quitting the game. And I remember messaging Starsnipe, and he was cool enough to respond. And back then, I had, 5,000 subscribers, and Star had, 500,000 subscribers. But he was cool enough to come on and do some audio lines, a small percentage of his actual size, but he was cool enough to do that, and I found that awesome. Now, since I can't stop doing documentaries, and I absolutely enjoy doing them so much, I did another one, the Last Day on Earth documentary. Instead of just doing the audio just for the video and calling it a day, I contacted him and got this all set up. I think there was a little bit of a waiting period, but he got it done kind of quickly. After the documentary, we talked for like a minute, maybe like 5 minutes or something like that, because he was just about to go on date night with his girlfriend, but instead he was talking with me about 2017 Last Day on Earth, which honestly, when you think about it, is absolutely hilarious that an LDUE documentary was holding him up. He chose to do the lines and voiceover and interview parts for the documentary as opposed to rushing and preparing for date night, which, when you really think about it, is kind of hilarious. Following that, we had the 20-note interaction, or maybe this was before, I can't even remember in the timeline. Regardless, I put out a video saying how to get all 20 notes, and Star was cool enough to find it and even leave a comment about it. I think he left a comment more recently on another Last Day on Earth where I talked about the current state of Last Day on Earth, and it was just totally random that Starsnipe would just happen to leave a comment right then and there. Now, when I found all 20 notes officially, he did cover it in a video, and I wish he put that as the official title, but his reaction is hands down hilarious. 2 years later now, I still wish there would be like somebody who would animate his reaction, because his reaction, looking at that straight gameplay, because back then I only did gameplay, I didn't do commentary. You can see him go through all 5 stages of grief in a period of 10 minutes. He goes from bargaining, to acceptance, to rage, to denial, and I just wish somebody would do an animation of that, because it's absolutely hilarious. I can still hear him say, "Rest in peace, ZD's loot, over 100 guns," and you can just hear the disbelief in his voice that we got a corgi, but the loot was garbage for what little reward there was, and it's just hands down an absolutely good episode. I know nobody goes back and watches old Last Day on Earth, but if you have a free moment, go take a look. Now, for the most part, I think that's all of the reactions I've had with Starsnipe. Every time I used to post a message that would be like, "Hey, if you're reading this message, please comment this word to see that you actually read the message," he would actually comment the word. He'd take a couple of days, but I guess that's to be expected. You're not going to be actively reading Discord messages every waning hour of the day. Cool that he would actually read, compared to some creators who, yeah, we'll get to those. And I really only have positive things to say about Star. We've had good interactions. I wish I could say the same for every creator in this series. I don't know. We'll get there. But for Starsnipe, though, he's exactly who he portrays on camera. You're getting the same guy who's on video, who's behind the scenes. He is the same person. There's no ambiguity. He's not hiding stuff. Wish I could say the same for everyone.